Are you looking for good cash flowing, profitable deals in a good market without the hassle of having to look for off-market deals? Most people these days say that that is not possible, but today we're going to put that to the test as I look live for deals in one of the hottest cities in the country, Indianapolis, Indiana. Hey everyone, it's Dave, head of real estate investing here at BiggerPockets. And although I started my investing career 15 years ago, investing where I lived in Denver, Colorado, in the last couple of years, I've been expanding my portfolio, investing a lot out of state. And in order to do this, I sort of had to get good at screening markets and seeing if there were any good deals. And I'm actually just going to show you how I would look at a new market live here. I'm going to show you the entire process. And I picked Indianapolis because it's one of the fastest growing regions in the Midwest. And the Midwest in general has really good cash flow potential, but you don't want to just evaluate markets just on cash flow potential. You want to find places that are also growing. And so I thought Indianapolis would be a perfect example of that. And normally before I start doing this stuff, I would look up a lot of data about the market and look at the fundamentals, but hopefully you'll just trust me that Indianapolis has a lot of strong fundamentals right now because I want to just jump right into what I would do next. So once I know that I like the market fundamentals, Indianapolis is growing, there's tons of job growth, there's great stuff going on there, then I just want to hop on the MLS and see if there's reasonably good on-market deals in that area. So that's where I'm going to pick up the process. To do this, I'm going to the BiggerPockets Deal Finder. It looks a lot like other listing platforms, but I'll show you that it has some cool stuff that's going to help you. And basically, the first thing I want to do is start screening this neighborhood. And so what I'm going to do here is first look at forecast. And so this tells us how much a particular area is expected to appreciate over the next year. And you can see down here that it's basically a gradient. So the lighter colors are expected to be modestly negative, but basically flat, whereas these darker colored areas are expected to grow up to 7.8%. And that's actually really good. On average, home prices are appreciating at like 4 or 5% right now. So if you got something that's above that, I would consider that a win. First thing that I'm seeing here in Indianapolis that I think is kind of interesting is that the downtown area is actually not showing a ton of growth. So when I zoom in here, you see that most of these areas, right around the urban core are showing less appreciation when sort of these, secondary, they're sort of like outside the main area are showing much better appreciation potential. You're seeing that they're actually dark blue. And again, like these dark blue areas are basically areas that are expected to go up the most. The second thing I'll look at is price, because as an investor, I basically want to be looking at, you can look at it in price per square foot, but I actually want to just look at total price. I'm going to be in my buy box probably looking for something that's like 250 or 300,000 if I want to find something that's cash flowing. So when I actually start looking at these prices, I see something pretty encouraging here, right? So the areas that are expected to grow the most, which remember was kind of outside this core. I'm now thinking like maybe this area over here, Mount Jackson, Belmont up here. Remember these had, I'll just go back to the forecast. These parts had really good potential for appreciation up over here too, to the northeast. And when you go to price, those are actually the areas that are a little bit cheaper. So they're around the median price, which is really good. I'll also check out crime. You do have to zoom in like all the way to see crime. You do see that in these areas, like right in the middle of the city, that is the worst area for crime. These areas that I was just looking, let's zoom out here. So there is, no crime in this area. That's something you should look at. I like to look at violent crime because there's property crime almost everywhere in cities. And so you see some of these areas are, not great and some are a little bit better. This is something I'm going to come back to in just a couple of minutes. But from this initial reaction, this initial research, I would say that I'm interested in this area here, this Fairview Station, Belmont, Mount Jackson, this area up here. It's kind of like a circle around the downtown area. So the next thing I would do is try and figure out if there's actually realistically cash flow for any of these markets. And of course, like if you're looking to do a burr or a flip, you would probably do this differently. But just for the example on this video, I'm just going to show you what it would look like if I was trying to find a cash flowing single family home. So I'm going to look just for houses. I don't want townhomes, condos, or co-ops. And again, I'm going to set my price for now now at 350. I kind of just want to do some exploration. We might change that in a minute. And then beds, I want to go for at least 3. Let's just start with 4. I like seeing what's going on with 4 bedrooms. And I do that just because with most markets, the more bedrooms, the higher the rent you're going to get. So I'm curious what a 4-bedroom for under 350 can show us. And just so we can see, we're already seeing a lot of these deals on the market in the areas that I was targeting. Remember, down here, over here to the west and to the north, we're seeing a lot of these markets, and they're actually cheaper. So you see, like, this is 135. We can pop these out too and just see, like, all right, for 135, let's see what this house looks like. It's 2,500 square feet, 4-bed, 2-bath. Pretty nice. It looks a little rundown. I'll zoom in on this in a little bit. This would definitely need some work. That's not a turnkey property. So maybe we look at something that's like 225 and just see what this is going to look at. This looks okay. It's kind of a split level, 70s style, but 4-bed, 1.5 bath, 1,800 square feet. Pretty solid. Already been on the market for 37 days. So I'm thinking that instead of paying $225, we could get this for a little bit lower. And at $1,800 a month for rent, not bad. That could cash flow potentially. But before we dig into any particular deals, I'm actually just going to filter down here. Since there are a lot of deals that meet my criteria, I'm actually going to lower this price point because it seems like we can maybe get something for under 250. So I'm going to look for 250 and then filters. Let's just see if we can get 2 bathrooms. That really helps with rent. While I'm doing this, I'm just keeping an eye on this area, this map that I have where I like these areas, right? Just seeing that as I apply these filters, this is my ideal situation, a 4.2 under 250. That's promising. And so I just want to make sure that there are still things actually showing up on the map as I do this. All right, so then we can add some more stuff like square footage. I don't feel like I understand yet exactly what the ideal square footage is, but for a 4-bedroom, I'm going to say at least 1,500 square feet. And then I'm going to scroll down and actually apply some of these advanced filters that are a little bit more investor centric. So I'm going to eliminate any deals that are expected to decline next year. And actually, let's just say we want it to be at least 3%. That's like the pace of inflation, right? So we want our appreciation to be at least 3%. Next, we can adjust crime. And different people think about this differently, but a lot of times if you want to find the best deals, you go to areas that still have some problems but are turning around. And so I will just jack this up so it's not like the highest crime neighborhood, but I'm not going to go all the way to this lowest area because that's going to eliminate a lot of cash flowing deals. And if you want to do that, you absolutely can. Just know that your cash flow is probably going to be offset if you go to some of those higher, more developed areas. So now that I've built out this buy box, first of all, I'm going to save it because now I will know if I truly was going to invest in Indianapolis, which who knows. And now I'm going to get alerted anytime one of these properties fits my criteria. So now I'm going to go back into this area and see that the places where there are these deals that I am looking at are actually in the neighborhoods that I really liked. So I liked this area over here. And what we're seeing here is a property that's on for $240, renting for about $1,900. So when we think about the 1% rule, that's going to come in probably about 0.6, 0.7. So this could cash flow. It's been on the market for 232 days, which weirds me out. Like something about that doesn't seem right. Like it's either overpriced. I do like properties, obviously, that have been sitting on the market, but something about it being on for more than 6 months just spooks me a little bit. If I were serious about that, I would probably call the agent and find out about that property. But for the purposes of our video here, I'm going to move on to look at some of these other deals. This one, 135. This one could definitely work. That was the one that we needed to renovate. This one can work. This looks like a nicer house. Only 3 days on market. This is a super nice house. So 4-bed, 2-bath, rental estimate of $2,000. That's a good idea. So we can look at that. All in all, like when I'm just eyeball testing some of these deals, I think they might cash flow. Oh, I like this one. All right. So let's actually run one of these deals. I'm going to pick this one right here. I'm just picking this randomly. So we have 278 North Mount Street in Indianapolis. Let's look through these photos together. So it looks okay. It probably needs a little bit of work on the outside, but inside looks pretty nice. Drywall, ceilings, floors look like they're in pretty decent shape. The layout looks solid. It's not super cramped. Ceiling heights look okay. Kitchen looks a little dated. Those cabinets are super old, but you could definitely rent this out as is. This is not a place where I feel like I would have to do an immediate renovation. If I were investing in this deal, I would dig in more and understand if renovating this property would improve the value. So this is kind of weird, this bathroom here. But again, depending on the tenant pool, like this is something you could absolutely rent out. It looks like a clean, safe house that is move-in ready for the right tenant. And then we're just going to look down here a little bit about what's going on. So taxes, $470. Wow, that is super cheap. We're also going to just see the rental estimate is $1,450. Again, there is a reasonable crime rate here. That's something I would look into a little bit more. And then I would just start to look at comps to see what similar properties are selling for. So we see 168, 158. So one in the mid, 160s to 170. What's this one listed for? 165. So it's about right in range for comp. So it seems reasonably priced. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually just go and analyze the deal on BiggerPockets. I'm going to go to our rental property calculator, hit start a new report. Then I'm just going to copy and paste this into here. And then I'm just going to hit that in. So I can add photos. I'm not going to do it right now because you just saw all the photos, but let's just assume that we bought that for full listing price. Closing costs, I'm just going to estimate at $5,000. Obviously, if I was buying this deal, I would look into this more, but $5,000 is, I think, a good rule of thumb for a property of this price. And then let's just say I will rehab this property. Let's just imagine that I put like 10 grand into it. So not a lot, but I think it would stand to benefit from some little upgrades. And let's just assume that gets us up to 185. Again, these are super rough ideas, but when I'm just looking at markets, I kind of do rule of thumb to see if I can get close enough. I'm obviously not going to buy this deal right now. I just want to get an understanding of what an average deal on the market looks like. So I'm just making broad assumptions, been investing for a long time. So I think these rules of thumb are probably pretty decent. Property value growth, we're going to keep it at 2%. I actually think it's going to be higher, but I want to be conservative, so I'm going to put it at 2%. Loan details, let's say I'm going to get this at 6.5%, 25% down because I'm an investor, 30-year fixed rate term. Income. So the average income here, rent, what did it say it was going to be? $1,450. So let's just start there and just assume that we are going to do $1,450. And then again, income growth, rent will probably be growing higher than 2%. But just to be conservative, we'll do that. Property taxes, what did it say? It was $405 a year. And then I don't know what insurance is. So I'm just going to Google this, like average home insurance, Indianapolis. Indiana's average home insurance premium is $2,384. So I'm just going to put, that seems high, but let's just try it. $2,400. Repairs and maintenance, let's put 5% because I'm going to put 10 grand in up front to repair a lot of stuff. So I think I can reduce my reserves to 5%. Vacancy, I like to put 4% in for single family home, and capital expenditures, I'm going to put 5%. And since I live out of state, I'm going to put 8% in. That's what I pay all of my out of state managers. For these utilities, I'm not going to put anything in here because with a single family home, usually the tenant pays, and that's it. I'm just going to look up how this deal does. Looking at this, yes, this deal should cash flow. And again, I'm using pretty broad numbers, but just sort of estimating here, I can see that cash on cash return is 2.5%. Now, 2.5% is not a fantastic cash on cash return, but I think there's a couple things to remember here. First and foremost here, I put in very conservative numbers, so I want to make a worst case scenario. Second, if I believe that this area is in the path of progress and it's going to appreciate and rents are going to grow, there's a lot of upside here. Third, the rent estimate that I put in of $1,450 is based on current state. And if I put 10 grand into this property to fix it up, what happens if I can get that up to maybe $1,600? Then you are getting 5% cash on cash return. I don't know if any of those things are true, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just trying to show you, are there cash flowing deals in Indianapolis? Yes, is the answer. I just found one on, in front of you guys. This is one take. I just showed you that you can find it, and that even with conservative basic numbers, I was able to get a positive cash flowing deal. Now, I don't know if I would buy this exact deal. I don't know if I have the right strategy for this deal, putting in 10 grand. Maybe I should put in more and jack up rents. I don't know. But by doing this and showing that I can generate a 2.5% cash on cash return just by looking at some random deal I found on the MLS, to me, that means that Indianapolis is a market that I would consider more. And so probably my next steps that I would think about is one, talking to an agent and validating some of what I just said and said, like, are these neighborhoods actually good? Are they expected to appreciate? Are the path of progress? Looking at the crime situation, looking at schools in those areas, and just talking to investors and property managers about these particular markets. But I find it's really helpful to, one, do that sort of fundamentals research, which we know Indianapolis is a strong market. Two, start looking at these specific deals to say, like, hey, is it worth investing my time to learn more? And to me, based on everything we've seen in this video, I think the answer is yes. There is a lot of promise here in Indianapolis to be able to find deals that cash flow in good neighborhoods at an affordable price point. So hopefully this video has helped you, and you could do all of this stuff on your own, either on BiggerPockets or on other websites. But I hope it helps you understand some of the steps that you might want to take if you are thinking about investing out of state, but you don't know exactly where you want to invest or how to start looking for deals, or if there are even profitable deals in the markets that you're looking for. If you have any other questions about how to do this or how I did this, please feel free to hit me up on BiggerPockets, or you can always find me on Instagram where I'm at The Data Deli. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again soon.